Here's a surprising truth that flips everything we think we know about medieval life. The poorest people of the Middle Ages often lived in homes that were smarter, warmer and more resilient than many modern houses built today. And the mystery is how peasants, with no formal education, no blueprints and no modern materials, managed to design homes that could survive brutal winters, scorching summers, floods and famine. Imagine walking into a low, earth-toned peasant dwelling, smoke curling lazily from the roof, animals sheltered nearby, and instead of misery you find efficiency, warmth and intention. Not accidental comfort, but carefully learned survival engineering. And as we peel back centuries of misunderstanding, we'll discover that medieval peasants didn't just endure the Middle Ages, they outsmarted it, building homes that quietly kept them alive in a hostile world. To understand peasant homes, you have to forget castles and cathedrals and focus on the reality most people lived in. Because over 90% of medieval Europeans were peasants, tied to land, seasons and weather, and their homes had to work every single day or families would suffer. These weren't temporary shelters. They were survival machines refined over generations, shaped by climate, soil, available materials, and hard lessons learned after floods, fires, and deadly winters. Villages passed down building knowledge orally, through watching, copying, and correcting. Not books. And if a house failed, people remembered, adjusted, and rebuilt smarter next time. Which is why similar house designs appear across regions with similar climates. Proof that this wasn't coincidence. It was experience turned into architecture. Now, here's where the ingenuity becomes impossible to ignore, because peasant homes were designed to conserve heat, shed water, and protect life using almost nothing. Imagine wattle and daub walls, woven branches packed with clay, straw, and dung, not crude, but brilliant because they insulated, regulated humidity, and sealed against wind. Thick thatched roofs weren't just cheap, they trapped air, repelled rain, and could last decades if maintained. Floors were often sunken slightly into the earth, using the ground itself as insulation, and houses were small on purpose. Fewer cubic feet meant less heat loss. Hearths were placed centrally, animals were brought inside or attached to the house to share body heat. And doors and windows were positioned away from prevailing winds, every detail shaped by survival logic, and none of it was accidental. This was environmental intelligence built from centuries of trial and error. And this is where medieval peasant homes start to feel uncomfortably modern, because many of their principles are now rediscovered in sustainable architecture, passive houses, and off-grid living. Think about it: local materials, thermal mass, small efficient spaces, shared heat zones, roofs designed for climate, not aesthetics. Imagine applying this today by building smaller, sealing better, using natural insulation, orienting homes to sun and wind instead of fighting them mechanically, and even in emergencies, storms, power failures, rising energy costs. These medieval strategies suddenly look less primitive and more practical, reminding us that resilience doesn't come from technology alone. It comes from design that respects nature's rules. So when we look at how medieval peasants built their homes, we're not looking at poverty. We're looking at quiet brilliance, homes shaped by necessity, patience, and deep environmental understanding, structures that didn't try to dominate the world but survive within it. And as modern life grows more complex and fragile, these humble dwellings offer a powerful lesson, that intelligence isn't always loud, progress isn't always new, and sometimes the smartest solutions are the ones that kept ordinary people alive through extraordinary hardship. And if this journey into forgotten wisdom changed how you see medieval life, architecture, or even your own home, consider sharing it subscribing, or continuing to explore the past, because history still has a lot to teach us about surviving the future.